You ever feel like you're sleeping your way through life? Like there's no point in getting attached to anything? Because nothing quite compares to the feeling you know you're supposed to have. You ever feel like your dream life is your real life? Do you search in your waking life for that same feeling? Do you wait for a place or a thing to match the level of magic that you know you are capable of feeling? Do you wait for people and connections to be as deep as what you give? Is it not worth committing to? Unless it can be as magical as you know you can make it. It's the fairy tale or it's nothing. And if it's not the fairy tale, excuse me, then aren't you better off on your own? I know it's late. We've almost missed the month. Nothing is on time. For some reason, the material world is just not holding a firm enough grip. For some reason, material wealth and success, it comes, but it's not where your head is at, which actually is wonderful because usually that's when it shows up the easiest, when you're not worried about it. Perhaps it's easy to work ourselves out of the material world and look for more magic because the material is taking care of itself. Because we have stopped making everything our responsibility. We've stopped allowing our effectiveness to determine whether or not we should be involved in something. We have moved away from being the fixer, the person who helps without being asked. You're living more for yourself, perhaps, than you ever have. And it's scary because the sort of independence you feel right now, it can almost make you allergic to relationships because you just feel so empowered, so good, so independent. It can be, a little bit of an affront to have someone try to upset that peace. But whatever and whomever comes into your life in November, last week of October, and throughout November, it's someone or something that holds a lot of promise. Something you really wanted. Someone or something you really wanted. For many of you, this wish that you have, it's a feeling of understanding. Are you what everyone sees? Are you how you present? Are you more than the glamour, the beauty, the seduction, the sexuality of your sign? And if so, what more is there? What happens when you see that recognition in someone's eyes and they can see past all of this that is so compelling and so beautiful, and they can see that perhaps behind all of this is somebody lost, somebody who is not of this realm and yet has to be here. Someone who understands and is sympathetic to the fact that you are a fish out of water and doesn't use it against you, doesn't use it to manipulate you, but in fact nurtures and protects you. This is the phase that you're moving into. And the reason that awareness is building in the people around you, the reason that people will start to feel this protectiveness towards you, is because you have realized that you are just a visitor here. You have realized, and especially during this Scorpio season, you are realizing that being in the water is so vastly different from being out of it. Now that you are in water again, even though it is fixed, you can feel that coming home to yourself, but also simultaneously you feel the months in between where it's ravaging, to be out here without the protection, without the bubble of that commonality in a water season where people can feel how you feel. So to be back in the water only reminds you of all the time that you spend out of the water. And it actually gives you the strength and the direction to sort out a few things that are very hard for you to sort out in other seasons. Your love life being one of the most poignant topics right now. The opportunities are there. There's many people around. That's never been the issue. But it really is about who sees you all the way through and still wants to be there. Many times the fantasy of what a Piscean is so compelling to people that that's what they sign up for. And you're not allowed to be anything more than that. You're not allowed to have depth of emotion or character. You need to be that fantasy all the time because that's what they were attracted to, and it becomes very easy to objectify Pisceans because they are so much the fantasy. But while that is very seductive and very attractive, and we all know that pull towards Pisceans, it's very painful and can be very, very detrimental for you because so often you are objectified. And this is such a perfect character for you for that reason. There is the persona of Audrey. There is the persona of Holly Golightly. And then there is the real her. And the real her is so vastly different from the fantasy that she spends most of the book or film portraying. but the real her is so much more raw, so much more broken, so much more real, in its emotional depth. You know, Holly Golightly, I mean, her name implies it all. It's this very surface character that she's playing, right? But it's very attractive, it's very alluring, it's very glamorous, and Pisceans have that ability to create this sort of magical charm, or, you know, witchcraft sort of around them, where you are just so seduced by your presence. But we must not forget, and it must be very hard for you when people forget, that underneath this there is someone who has, of course, wants and needs, but also hurts and pains. And how awful it must be for you when people treat you like a burden when you express your feelings. You know, because the reason they're doing that isn't because you disproportionately have more feelings than other people or other signs. That's actually not what it is. It's that they're buying so deeply into the fantasy of who you are that when you show any sign of being a real person, it's like it's too much. It's like, oh my God, you actually have emotions, you actually have problems. Just be the pretty girl, just be the pretty boy, just be the pretty person, and, you know, and let me rock, and let me have this fantasy of you being just that and nothing more. My question to you is, how many people like that do you want to keep in your life? And how, you know, the cool thing about this is she's asleep. She's in her element. She's not pretending to be anything for anyone when the main character of the film meets her. She's actually off duty. This is who she is when she's alone. You know, is there still a lot of glamour to it? Of course, it's someone's tuxedo shirt. Who knows whose it is, right? Of course, the earplugs are super glamorous. Of course, the eye mask is super glamorous. But it's her time alone at home. It's her vulnerable, sleeping self that encounters the person who later, at least in the film, becomes, you know, her lover, and becomes the person who understands her best. So where is that impulse within you throughout Scorpio season, and especially at the as we get to the end of November and into Sag season? Where is that space where you can be the most vulnerable human you and not the fantasy? And who are the people who see that most vulnerable human you and still see the fantasy? Who are they? Where are they? What does she say in the movie? Until I find a place that makes me feel as magical as Tiffany's, I'm gonna live like this. When I find a place that makes me feel as magical as that place, then I'll buy some furniture and name the cat. You're always just looking for the magic outside to match the inside. And there's nothing wrong with that. But don't let that turn you into a magic-making machine for other people. You can be that, you can do that, and still be human. Those are the people, those are the opportunities that you realize in November that you need, and also that you've probably been looking for a while. And although the people, the opportunities, the situations where the fantasy you shines, those are wonderful situations. It's hard not to love people who adore you. It's hard not to be taken in by the praise, by the power that you can have. But at some point it becomes an obligation, a job, a burden. At some point all you want to do is be the real you. Get some sleep. Get some sleep and travel to that place that you are actually from. Happy Scorpio season. Happy Halloween. Happy first video for Halloween season. Probably my favorite. Hi Pisces. Welcome to the second part of your reading. Okay. So, aside from Audrey being sleepy, why Audrey? Why that scene? Why that costume? November for you is about opposing forces. It's about juxtapositions. So here is this party girl, gorgeous, glamorous, elegant, fashionable. But all she really wants to do is sleep. Now, even when she's asleep, she's glamorous, beautiful, and there's some truth in that for you as well, whether you're turning it up or whether you're just being casual at home. Your beauty is ethereal. It's different. It's not like everybody else. And that's reflected in the costume choice. But just like the party girl only wants rest and sleep, and although when she's out in the world she is very elegant, her apartment is empty. Her apartment is so empty, in fact, that the man who moves in asks her if she's also just moved in. Now, that's a clever little piece of exposition that has since then been used in many films. But I think it works the best there because she's completely oblivious to why he's asking. She doesn't even think about it. She's just reaching over unopened boxes, and really there's not much else. In so many places in your life in November, you feel the push and pull. For example, 10 of Pentacles. Life with either a significant other and or a burgeoning career, feeling good, feeling appreciated, feeling settled. And yet, why do you feel like people are asking too many questions and they're too much in your business? Why do you feel like you need a break? Why do you feel like authority is bearing down on you? And somehow that tradition to which you happily were adhering now seems so oppressive. As society carries out what goes along with that role that you've taken on. This authority issue, this power dynamic, this power struggle can also exist between you and a partner if they are exhibiting that authority. You're just having one of those months. And it really starts, that energy starts tomorrow on the 6th. You don't want to answer anyone's questions. You don't want to be more palatable or to be easier to tolerate. And it's flying in the face of authority. And I think for a lot of people who have just gotten to know you and don't really know you very well, they might be shocked. They might be shocked at how rebellious you can be, even though I don't know why they would be. You do take a risk, though, when going after everything you want. You can reach for the stars and have your wish fulfilled, or you can fall flat on your face. Again, it's these it's these oppositional forces that are playing out in November for you. But what does it depend on? What will make the difference between having your wish fulfilled and falling flat on your face? Well, one of the things is to be prepared. For those of you who are not happy and are wishing things would be better, you should prepare yourself instead for a break from that person because you're not happy. Do you see what I'm saying? You should wish for things for yourself, right? Not things that involve other people. Now, if you look there at the Two of Wands, this is also a time where it can get a little bit sticky in terms of what you want to pursue and the ambitions you have and how that works in terms of money, how that works in terms of security. Does what you want to do next mesh well with what you've done so far? If not, how do you segue? Because many of you want that. Many of you want to segue. Many of you want to reinvent, right? For some of you, that reinvention is the Ten of Pentacles. People are just pushing and pulling you to settle down, get married, have a kid. If you've already had that, have more. If you've had a kid but not gotten married, get married. Like, you will hear all those authoritarian things that rub you the wrong way. You'll hear them all month, starting tomorrow. Now, you can turn each one of those comments into an argument if you want to. And like I said, if your relationship is shaky, it very well could break right now. But you also don't need to address those comments. You also don't need to be reactive in any way at all if you don't want to. In fact, most of your connections with people are a little bit askew in November. You may feel that in the next 2 weeks you meet someone that's perfect and it's a ridiculously short flash in the pan. It's just not the time to be connecting and trusting. Not just yet. Not just yet. When you come across something that's actually harmonious, you'll know it. Because there will be no effort needed there. It'll just flow. And that's not right now. That Ace of Wands and that Ace of Cups is very clear. Things will be offered to you, but only so far as you can grab them. They'll be there. But if you don't have the wherewithal, the referential knowledge, whatever prerequisite you need to be able to grab that opportunity and feel confident about it, if you don't have that, you won't be able to do that. If you are locked in some sort of power struggle, if you are locked into some sort of pity party for yourself and where you want to be and how you're not there yet, you will miss these opportunities and they will leave. And your chance at reinvention will be squandered. So it's important. It's important to keep upbeat. It's important not to get stuck in the fight. It's important not to even engage in the fight. Right? People want to ask you all kinds of questions about your life. Politely say nothing. People want to push and pull you in this direction, knowing you'll be reactive. If they do this, you'll do this. Do nothing. Make decisions based on your readiness 3 weeks from now. What do you need to do to make sure that 3 weeks from now, when some great opportunities come at you, you'll be awake enough to identify them and energetic enough, clear enough, sharp enough to do something with them? Don't let this tennis match in the interim get in your way. Sublimely live somewhere between the two. Party girl who forgot to take her make off but still went to sleep. Now, as of today, we have Venus moving into Capricorn. What that means is it's very easy, if a connection just doesn't logically work anymore, for it to be lost. It's pretty hard and fast when it comes to taking out what isn't good for us. So, either you and whomever it is that you're dealing with get on the same page, or the next couple of weeks get very rocky and pull you apart. Okay? Say less about yourself and listen more, and that should mitigate some of it. I love you. Love you, love you, love you. The extended is on Vimeo. It's on Patreon, and it's available through a instant PayPal link. There's also a link below for Cameo. There you can find a way to book a personal reading and tickets for the November 19th live event. There's also a link for Revolution rings. We're almost sold out. Merchandise. And if you're interested in a daily horoscope, come on over to @thequietestrevolution on Instagram and join the Rev Fam. I love you, love you.